Hello folks, how's it going? Right, today before I jump into the latest story of war that's curled me toes, I want to briefly touch on one of my most recent answers on Quora, which has got me plenty of ridiculous comments from the adoring public. The question was a simple one. It was, what's worse, being liberal in a red state or conservative in a blue state in the USA? Now, I mentioned in there that I think I can give a pretty good answer to this question, because I think the average socially liberal Englishman is definitely a few steps to the left of the average, American centrist. It's just a more liberal environment in Europe in general. But we've got to the point now where, despite the claims people are making about everything going all right wing since Brexit and Trump, I think it's the exact opposite. I think that the conservatives, the right-wing sort of religious conservatives that I used to laugh at in the 90s, when I was a young lad, we used to see these sort of Baptist preachers on TV and we'd all laugh at them, the sort of crazy stuff they used to say. They don't seem to hold sway in the modern Republican Party. I think it's the exact opposite of what people are claiming. I think that the right opened its doors to disenfranchised liberal centrists and ejected the crazy Bible thumpers and basically become more tolerant to absorb those people. It's the opposite. It's upside down what the people on the left are saying. Anyway, for those that aren't aware of it, that's my political compass right there. I'm not a right-winger by any stretch of the imagination. I did a second one as well because I do think that maybe the standard political compass is skewed a bit because it uses American metrics rather than European ones. And I'm guessing a lot of that is simply down to the fact that I don't give a fuck about abortion. I think if you're a liberal person, you've got to think, you know what, I shouldn't have command over a perfect stranger's womb, so fuck it. It's an hard decision to make because you're obviously talking about a life, or at least a potential life, right? It does depend when you're gonna. I don't think anyone can say a 4-day-old fetus is a life. It merely has the potential to be one. But anyway, I'm on the fence on many of these issues, and in the United States that seems to just automatically put you on the left. So it is a bit simplistic. It's the same with gay rights, for example. Like most Englishmen, I don't care. Most of the real issue with gay marriage and such does appear to be scriptural based, right? Most of the problems people have with it in this day and age are religious people, especially Muslims. We know how they feel about it in Europe. Yeah, we've all seen that. We've all seen how much it's kicking off in Birmingham because they're teaching kids to be tolerant of the gay community. So a lot of that does seem to be scripturally based, whether you're a Muslim, a Jew or a Christian. The very, very devout ones are uniformly against gay marriage. I'm agnostic, thus I don't care what perfect strangers want to get up to in their own bedroom. Don't give a fuck. I would guess 90% of the British are the same. We're not a religious country anymore. And if you're a sort of Lockean, freedom of speech, libertarian type, as we understand it, hardly anyone's against gay marriage. I know very few people who are, or abortion, or any of the things that you would tie to scriptural doctrine or any of the big monotheistic religions. So maybe that is a bit simplistic. Maybe I am slightly more at the centre. So I did another one, the 8 values test. Again, doesn't seem, in my eyes, like I'm particularly right-wing on anything. I am patriotic because I think that it makes sense to be. I think globalisation harms the working poor in England. And in fact, I don't just think that. I think it's a demonstrable fact. I think you can prove it. Letting 4, 5, 6 million people from the third world or very poor countries in Eastern Europe come over to England was demonstrably bad for the working classes because they're not competing for work and resources and council houses and school places and doctors and dentists with upper middle class or wealthy people. They go private, they own their own houses, and they've all got good degrees from good universities. They don't compete with them, but they do compete with chavs from Middlesbrough with a fucking 2 GCSEs from a shit comprehensive school. They do. And these people who go, taking our jobs, don't know what they're talking about. That's a fact. Most of the labour that come from, say, Poland, there's millions of them. Most of the labour that comes from Poland, settles in England, they compete for work, not with upper class guardianistas with PhDs from Oxbridge universities. They compete for jobs with truck drivers and labourers and plumbers and postal workers and factory workers from England. This is why I'm patriotic. I think you should have common sense migration, but have a managed process. Again, I think I'm a centrist there. I'm not against the rest of the world, but I do think ultimately, whether you're in the United States or the UK or anywhere else, or France, I think it's perfectly reasonable for the French president to look out for the interests of French people, or the German president to look out for the interests of German people, as opposed to say, you know what, we're all equal. I'm going to worry about random Somalian tribesmen just as much as I'm going to worry about my fellow countrymen. It's not an idea I can get behind, but I don't think that's weird. I'm not right wing. I'm not saying none of them should ever be allowed in. Fuck it, they can't visit. Let's shore up the airport and physically deport them all. I'm just more into the well-being of our own working poor than worrying about the working poor from Romania. I think that's perfectly reasonable as well. Liberty, I'm more on the liberal side of things. I think I am. Freedom of speech, freedom of thought, choice, deed. As long as you don't impugn upon the freedoms of somebody else, I'm down with it. So again, pretty liberal if you ask me. And I'm also neutral on the societal axis. 56 to 43% with progress. So I don't think I'm fucking right wing. I think I'm the very definition of a centrist. So let's look at some of these comments. Right, my point was very simple. In this day and age, red state liberals are in a better position than blue state conservatives. And I'm not simply being hyperbolic here. I mean it. I would genuinely I would expect someone to verbally abuse me or possibly assault me if I walked around Los Angeles, downtown LA, with a MAGA hat on. I would expect it. People would go, what the fuck are you? They would have a go at you. That didn't happen in the 3 years I was in Alabama. My missus is from California. She's very liberal. She did have several quite shouty arguments with people in bars and breweries, but we'd all had a drink and that happens. But I mean, it was fine. It wasn't particularly, I remember one time being in a brewery and arguing with a guy about kneeling for the flag, and I was saying, we're not North Korea. The whole reason that we allow that type of thing is what makes me proud to be living in this country and what makes me love America. Because, we're not North Korea. If you want to kneel for the flag or even burn the flag or be even more crass about it, you're allowed to. And I will respect people's rights to do that. Because I have the right to call them an asshole. That's how it works. Or an arsehole. You can see I've been in America a bit too long. Or a fucking twat. Right? That's the way it works. It's fine. And I'll tell you what. Nearly every American that started off disagreeing with me, whenever, you know what it'd be like. Colin Kaepernick would come up on the TV and then someone would go, that motherfucker, and then the debate would start. And by the end of it, almost all of them would be like, yeah, I see where you're coming from. It was funny because one guy, I remember I was telling him, saying, listen, don't you think it's a good thing that Americans can protest in this way when in so many countries on earth, probably most of them, you couldn't burn an American flag or ignore the flag or sit down for a national anthem? And he was like, yeah, I understand that. I was talking to one who was a US Marine, and I said, well, I was a Marine, and, I think it's a good thing. I think it proves how superior our nations are, that we can do things like that. And amusingly, he then said, oh, yeah, I agree with you. Okay, I agree with you. They can kneel for the flag, and I can beat the shit out of them. And I said, nearly right. You're almost there. They can kneel for the flag or burn a flag, and you can call them a cunt, but you can't beat the shit out of them. And, we come to an accord there. It wasn't that big of a deal. It happened quite regularly. And never once did I feel like I was even close to getting assaulted. Not like this poor little cunt, who, if anyone doesn't remember the story...
It's been viewed more than 2 million times. See this man throwing a drink at 16-year-old Hunter Richard and shouting a racial slur.
Yeah, so he's like a burly... 30-year-old man. Well, he's not that burly, but he's not small, is he? He looks like he lifts a bit. Picking on a fucking 16-year-old and dropping N-bombs because the kid had a fucking MAGA hat on in a Whataburger. Now, we can disagree about the terms I've used, but that just wouldn't happen in Alabama. If you were sitting there with an Obama hat on, in a Whataburger, nobody's going to come and fucking assault you because you're wearing a hat. This happens because these dipshits like this guy think you're a genuinely bad person if you're wearing a MAGA hat, because the Discord's been completely ruined by these woke activists. So twats like that think, oh yeah, he's wearing a MAGA hat, therefore he's a racist, sexist, homophobic piece of shit. So fuck him, I'm more than entitled to twat him. And they don't think that about, Republicans don't think that about Democrats. They think they're stupid, they think they're naive, they think they're idealistic to the point that it's ridiculous. You know, they do have a stereotype of what Democrats are. They go, oh yeah, they just want to collapse all the borders and let everyone in, it's crazy. And you know what? Most Democrats don't, which is the point, right? Which is why these woke activists need to get a grip and realise that probably 85% of the Democrats don't agree with them, which fuck knows why all of the front runners are pretending they're all fucking woke activists themselves when we know for a fact they aren't. But the point is, it's perfectly understandable why the left wing are more aggressive towards their counterparts than the right wingers are in modern America. And it's because the discourse has been fucking destroyed by those on the left. Which brings me to the point in my initial video. Now, regards some of the comments, I mean, look at this absolute perler. Like, I mean, I love how these fuckers are just so willing to prove you're right. So a guy says, gosh, it's almost like their whole party is about protecting an odious criminal who's causing irreparable harm to the country we love. A year after Trump was elected, I was patient. Surely they'd come around. 2 years later, I was frustrated. 3 years, I was shocked. But now, where he's used his office for political game, in spite of that, they support him. They're not Americans. Well, first of all, mate, you don't get to decide who an American is. It's like these ones who said that Kanye isn't black because he's got the wrong politics, or Peter Thiel isn't gay because he's got the wrong politics. Like what? You can be black and suck blokes' cocks, but if you don't agree with woke progressives, you're not black and gay. Fuck off. You don't get to decide that shit. Ridiculous. Anyway, he finishes with, evil is the willing rationalisation of harm. Republicans are evil, and until they demonstrate otherwise, should be treated as such. Republicans are evil, and until they demonstrate otherwise, they should be treated as such. And I'm assuming we all know what we should do to evil people, right? Evil. Evil. Like Hitler. Or fucking... let's not use him. Everyone uses Hitler. Evil would be like, I don't know, fucking Ted Bundy. Or Charles Manson. What are we supposed to do with them? I think we know what he's inferring. Oh, look at this one. It's not a fair comparison. Trump is a sexual predator and an overt racist. Wearing a MAGA hat in a Hispanic city would be like carrying a Nazi flag in Israel. Like, yeah, okay then. So if that's the case, Tom, why did Trump get a significant number of Hispanic voters? Why? There's the Washington Post. It's a good left-wing source. Trump's support among Hispanics and Latinos is real. Don't assume it will fade. So, sorry, random white guy. Why would wearing a MAGA hat in Hispanic city be like carrying a Nazi flag in Israel? Fucking 10 million of them probably voted for the guy. Fuck me. Anyway, so crazy talk, right? I'm just glad there's people proving me fucking right in the comments. Lunatics. Now I want to move on to the point of the video I originally sat down to make. It is loosely linked, what I'm saying, because it just shows how crazy, and I don't want to overuse the F word, you know, starts with F, ends in ashism, because everyone's overusing that one nowadays. But what is this if not ridiculous intolerance bordering on the point of like criminality? So it says, the reason this piqued my interest is because, by the way, if you've never been to Chick-fil-A, it's fucking quality. If you're lucky enough to come over here on holiday, because sadly English, British, Irish doesn't let you going to get to go because these fucking commies have closed the restaurant down. But if you're ever fortunate enough to visit the United States, I suggest you pay a visit. It's way better than like Matty D's. You have a chicken sarnie from Matty D's, compare it to Chick-fil-A. It's like, not even in the same league. Anyway. It says, days after opening its first UK restaurant, Chick-fil-A announces the location will close. Just read this, so it's only from October 9th, 3 days ago. It says Chick-fil-A opened the doors of its first United Kingdom restaurant October 10th, marking the popular but controversial chicken chain's second location outside the United States as it seeks to expand internationally. 9 days later, the company announced it will close the location within 6 months. The news came as LGBT groups held protests outside the brand new restaurant at the Oracle Mall in Reading, denouncing the company's opposition to same-sex marriage. Now, again, I don't care about same-sex marriage. I'm not against same-sex marriage. But I do support the right of people to fucking disagree. Very liberal of me, I know. What can I say? I'm old-fashioned. Reading Pride, a UK-based LGBTQ advocacy group, announced its stance against the restaurant opening. In a statement shared on Twitter, the group said it was staunchly opposed to Chick-fil-A setting up a shop in the UK and certainly in Reading. The chain's ethos and moral stance goes completely against our values and that of the UK. Again, speaking on behalf of everyone in the UK, we are a progressive country that has legalised same-sex marriage for some years and continue to strive towards equality. Fuck me. Just because in 2012, so bear in mind that's quite a long time ago as well, isn't it? Is that not proof of the extreme position of these people, that you can never ever be forgiven? The whole idea of tolerance is surely forgiveness of mistakes. But these fuckers act like you put your foot in your mouth once and you are just fucking excommunicated. They like make the Spanish Inquisition look fucking tolerant, some of them. So it was because Chick-fil-A CEO Dan Cathy made a statement in 2012 saying he believed in the biblical definition of the family unit. That's it, really. He didn't say, I believe in the biblical definition of the family unit and fuck the fucking queers. He didn't say that. He didn't say, I believe in the family unit, set all the gays on fire and bulldoze the gay bars. He didn't do that. I mean, it's not the strongest worded statement in the world, is it? You would think they could find it in the heart to let it go and have a fucking chicken sandwich. But no, this is the bit that really got to me. In videos shared on social media, activists waved rainbow flags and used a microphone to announce that Chick-fil-A is not welcome here. He said, and I quote, "You may be closing down 6 months' time, but we have a message for you. You will not be opening anywhere else in the UK, and if we do see you on our soil, we will stand up and we will challenge you again." So because one bloke said something about a traditional family unit, they have been deemed persona non grata in all of Britain by militant gays. And they've said, not only are we glad you're fucking off, if you even attempt if we see you on our soil, we will stand up and challenge you again. So these very, very intolerant gay dudes are speaking on behalf of you and every single person that lives in the UK. And I'm willing to make a wager that if it went to a fucking referendum, although fuck that, we don't have any more referendums, we've seen how they work out in modern Britain, the fucking grossly incompetent shit show of a country that it is now. But we've seen how referendum work. So I'll tell you what, let's not call it that. Let's just say we have a public vote in the UK, an online poll on the Downing Street website, and we were to ask people, do you think a chicken restaurant should be banned forever, banished from the UK forever, because the CEO said something that could possibly be construed as being homophobic? I reckon 90% of people would say, fuck off, I want to try me one of them spicy chicken sandwiches that Matty said are really fucking awesome, and blow all those shitty Burger King and KFC ones straight out the window. I think that's what most people would say. And thus, point proven once again. You don't see right-wingers picking on companies like Facebook or Google that are demonstrably very, very left-leaning. You don't see them saying, let's fucking bulldoze their corporate HQ and forever expel them from our shores. Because there's a big difference, there's a big tolerance deficit between the right and the left these days, and the left are the ones that are lacking in it.